Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Adib Mahmood. I'm the Chief Program Officer at the Financial Health Network. I use the pronoun he. I'm a South Asian man with short, dark hair, and I'm wearing a gray shirt and black glasses. On behalf of the Financial Health Network, I'm very pleased to welcome all of you to this webinar sponsored by Visa, Uplifting Communities Through Fintech, Building a Pathway to Financial Inclusion. For almost 2 decades, the Financial Health Network has partnered with companies to improve the financial health of their customers, employees, and communities. We work with both large established companies like Visa, as well as emerging innovators and fintechs like the ones we are going to hear from today. I'm especially looking forward to today's discussion because we're focusing on reducing inequities in financial health, an issue that's going to be very important to us at FHN in the coming years. Throughout the Financial Health Network's history, we've worked with fintechs, bringing innovative products and solutions to advance financial health. By investing in them, connecting them with other practitioners, and facilitating a focus on those who are most excluded. We're now launching yet another approach to engaging fintechs by advising other investment funds who are interested in expanding financial health. I hope you will find today's discussion insightful and that you will reach out to us to learn about the many ways in which we can partner together to improve financial health. With that, let me turn the mic over to Dr. Dee Miller from Visa, our host for today's discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Adib. Welcome, everyone. I have the pleasure, my name is Dee Miller. I am a Black woman. I am wearing a black and white shirt, sitting in the office in Austin. I use she, her pronoun. I have short black, purple locks, and I'm wearing black frame or purplish clear frame glasses. And it is really great to be here to uplift this topic as we think about how do we remove or face economic equity. Particularly communities that are traditionally faced with economic equity, including households of color and small business owners, often lack access to digital banks, tools that they need to have a strong financial future. And so today we have the honor and pleasure of bringing our inclusive client partners who are tackling these through various ways in our fintech. For today's agenda, we'll do a welcome to each of the speakers. We'll have a discussion in which we will talk to Anu, Zambizi, Credit Rich, and Totem Technologies, just getting an understanding of how they're leveraging partnerships as well as understanding of their actual product that they're bringing to uplift the traditionally excluded and disempowered communities. We'll then go into Q&A and finally with closing regarding upcoming events from Financial Network. So I would like to take a moment to thank all the speakers, and each speaker, if you could come on and start your introduction. Turn it over to you, Amber.
Halito, sa hochifo ya Amber Bucher, chatasia hoki, Tulsa amiti li. Hi, my name's Amber Bucher. I am Choctaw and I'm from Tulsa. I'm the founder and CEO of Totem, the only digital bank by and for Native Americans. As I said, I am a Choctaw woman. I have long dark hair and like a crazy violet colored collared shirt on, I guess, and some beaded earrings to match. I love to smile and I'm really excited to share some of our story with all of you.
Thank you. Alpesh.
Hi, everyone. Alpesh Patel here, founder of Zambizi. It's a fintech company working on contactless payments. I am a South Asian male. I have some gray hair, actually quite a bit of gray hair. Based in London currently, and I'm really, really excited to share what we're doing in the space and how we're going to empower millions and millions of people across America and hopefully the rest of the world as well. Great to be here, and I'm really excited for the conversations that we're about to have.
Thank you. Angel?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Angel Rich Jones, founder and CEO of Credit Rich, where we round up users' spare change to pay their bills intelligently and optimize their credit score as fast as possible. I am wearing a beautiful blue leopard print and sporting sort of long-ish hair, if you will. I have on pink lip gloss and a little bit of light gold eyeshadow, and I am of caramel complexion. I am very excited to chat with you all today and look forward to the conversation.
Thank you. And you may notice that Felix is currently not with us, but he will be joining us in the conversation. So we'll go ahead and get started if that's okay with everyone. One of the first questions I want to ask is, what has inspired you about supporting or working with the communities of colors and micro and small businesses? Let's start with you, Amber.
Thanks for the question, Dr. D. We serve the Native American population, so 11.1 million Native American, Hawaiian, and Alaskan Natives in the US. And I think that the thing that inspires me most about our population, our people, is our incredible resilience, which is kind of a common answer, I guess. It's a little bit of a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's so true. We've gone through so much and we're still here, and we have a lot of barriers in front of us to, participating fully in the modern economy and a lot of other things, but we just keep coming back. We don't go away. Our culture, continues to flourish and thrive, and we're here. And I would like to think that same quality kind of lives in me in my work as a founder. Anytime you get knocked down, you just got to keep going. So definitely resilience is what inspires me about my people and inspires my ability to work for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Alpesh?
Yeah, having been born in Africa, I grew up and spent many, many years in Africa. I was actually one of the first refugees. We got kicked out by Idi Amin back in the day. We lost everything that we had. So resilience has been inbuilt from a very, very young age. But going back to Africa, where I built the first mobile device, Africa's first mobile device brand, which I sold in 2016. I really, got to the heart of exactly what happens on the ground. In Africa, people don't have anything. They went from nothing to wireless. And if you want to see real innovation, you see some of the streets of Lagos, Nairobi, Johannesburg. You get a lot of inspiration from how people survive every day. Literally, that dollar every day equivalent currency, it puts food on their table. Having all of that, and then saying, how do I take those lessons learned, and how can I put that into the work that I do, especially in new markets like the US, where, relatively speaking, people also at the bottom of the pyramid also struggle to put food on their table, and how can we really empower them? So it may be different continents, but actually, it's all human beings, and we all go through the same challenges every day.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Angel?
I definitely agree, Alpesh. And at Credit Rich, we understand that your financial past does not have to be your financial future. I myself graduated with $180,000 of debt. So it gave me a deep passion for helping other people to avoid similar pitfalls. Because of this experience, I personally understand that communities of color disproportionately face disparities that make it difficult for them to mentally, physically, and financially succeed. So at Credit Rich, we are passionate about building tools that will help them to be able to close these wealth gaps.
Yeah, and so each of you really are using your lived experience to drive what you're doing today. And I think that's really important. And as being founders in itself, you have a different understanding and empathy with the communities that you are actually serving. And so each of your fintechs focus on a specific community of color and micro small business owners. Can you elaborate on why building a fintech to address these economic inequities among these specific communities and businesses is important in accelerating digital inclusion? And let's go ahead and start with you, Alpesh.
I think one of the key things here is that, we've always believed at Zambezi that we have to give people a hand up instead of a handout. And that is a very important saying. Why? Because I think even people at the bottom of the pyramid, people that are, very, very low income, they still have pride. They still have hope that tomorrow they can be able to achieve. But, you've got to give them the right tools. And I think what we're doing with the smartphone industry and what we're doing with our product Zambezi, it puts these tools directly into the hands of the people and gets them going straight away. And I feel that it's not only about a specific color community. I think it's for everyone, any small business, micro business. I think COVID has kind of speeded up the whole incoming growth in terms of people setting up their own businesses. Someone having 3 or 4 different side hustles every day, because that's how they survive. That's how they put food on the table. And if we can address how to make life easier for them, simpler for them, convenient for them in a trustworthy environment, I think that's really, hitting the mark for us.
Thank you, Alpesh. Angel?
Yes, so we know that all starting points are not made equal. In the Black community in particular, there are not always the same amount of options that are available as you matriculate. Now, let's think about this in terms of the music industry. Imagine if we were to have impeded Black people from entering into the music industry and what that might look like right now. Well, we look at that the same way in terms of the financial industry. At Credit Rich, we believe that credit is the gateway to financial health. So if we are creating different ways for people to trying to be kind, if there are options out there where people are struggling to be able to succeed in their credit, we are looking to help them be able to circumvent that. Similarly to a musician or a dancer or anybody trying to get into the music industry, to have it the breadth of diversity that we have it to the level at right now. We believe the same should be the case for financial inclusion, where it doesn't really matter what your background is. You have the same amount of option and you're able to sing your song.
Thank you, Angel. Amber, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would say for our population, invisibility is the number one challenge that we face. There's a reason for that, acknowledging our people's existence kind of flies in the face of the foundation of the nation. And so we're often romanticized or turned into caricatures that really create a large amount of invisibility for Indigenous people and the barriers that we have and the struggles that we go through everywhere, but particularly in financial services is where, that takes place. And so I like to think about that in kind of 2 tracks. And the first way that invisibility manifests itself is in just barriers to accessing basic financial services, kind of like what Aaron was talking about. So for example, most banks have to be everything to all people, and that is good and that's important. And we need banks that do that. But when that's your role, it's really hard to make exceptions for some of these lived experiences and realities of living as a modern native. A lot of banks aren't aware of the fact that on reservations, it's pretty common to not have a physical address that you can get mail to. That becomes a problem when a bank requires you to have a physical address in order to get you a debit card that you just open an account for, right? There are things like natives traveling 3 times further to access financial services than other Americans. So having a mobile solution is really important and actually the only way that some of our folks can access financial services. So you have to prioritize that, right? There are many other kind of policies and procedures and things that we're uncovering that are real systemic barriers. But then the second phase of that invisibility goes back to what Alpesh was saying, and it's really about values. Right. So if you're all things to all people, you're a part of the dominant culture, you take a dominant approach, a Western approach to finance and wealth and what those things mean. But in the Native community, wealth is very different than in the dominant culture. We're a very entrepreneurial people. We're very generous and gifting is a big part of our culture. And so having a financial institution that can say, what, I know enough about this culture to know that, for example, you take care of your own needs, then you take care of your family and friends. And if there's anything left over, you might be able to have fun, right? But taking care of family and friends is so important. to our value system, that it takes knowing that in order to prioritize things on your roadmap, like free instant totem to totem transfers that we know are important because our people need to send money back to Anya to help her pay a light bill real quick, you know? So yeah, I think invisibility for us is a huge issue that manifests itself in both systemic barriers, but also, you know, the opportunity to create really value-based products. Yeah.
No, I think you all have highlighted the need to take a step back and really think about how do we take a different lens and look beyond the dominant culture. And that is what, you know, a lot of institutions, whether it's healthcare, finance, they often come from the lens of a dominant culture, but being able to really understand the values of different groups and designing for those needs is really important. And actually leads me to my next question, which you kind of touched on a little bit, Amber, where you're talking about access to the financial products and services being a key barrier to our consumers, our small businesses, our micro merchants, creators, entrepreneurs. If each of you have anything to say on like, how is your fintech enabling access through a better user experience? You know, my background is in user experience, and I think that's really critical from a customer experience perspective. So if anybody would like to speak to that, Alpesh, would you like to talk to how you're improving the overall user experience?
Yeah, look, Dee, I think the main thing here is that one of the most important and most amazing innovations we've had over the last few years has been the introduction of smartphones. Coming from a smartphone and a phone background, I've always looked at the phone as an empowerment tool, although the media would say it's more about how many selfies you can take and how many times your phone folds or how long the battery can last. There's more to this than just selfies. This is actually the real tool that changes people's lives, as we can all see. It's changed all our lives anyway over the last few years. Everyone has a smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone. So even the people at the bottom of the pyramid, they have some kind of smartphone. May not be the latest Samsung or whatever, or the latest Apple, but they do want to connect. And I just give you a quick statistic from Africa, where I come from. You know, people may not have enough food in the fridge. People may not have enough food to pay their light bill, but they will always make sure that their phone is on, because this is their window to the world. This 6-inch screen is the most powerful real estate on the planet. So when we take this into account, and knowing that everyone has this in their hands, it's quite easy, therefore, to say that you can add fintech into their daily lives, so that you're not taking them on a completely different journey. It's part of their everyday, their life. Everything runs off here. So we've added our fintech, as you can see from the screen. We've got this brilliant AI screen, which gives you notifications based on your habits and your browsing. But the main feature here is that you can use this phone to accept payments. So now anyone in these communities who has a smartphone can download our app, or they can get the phone, and they can just simply take payments from any Visa, MasterCard, and now start fending for themselves, trade on the go. This is how we really empower communities. And I feel that's the easiest way to get in, is through the smartphone.
Thank you, Alpesh. Anyone want to add about user experience and how your product is really driving or enabling access by better user experience? Amber or Angel? Go ahead.
Definitely. User experience is the favorite part of our company. I am so excited to release the features that we have created. Firstly, for the first time ever, we have combined mobile banking, credit reporting, and online payments in one app. We sort of see ourselves as the Walmart of fintech. While we've announced a couple of partnerships, we actually have many, many more partnerships where we really don't see ourselves as a competitor with other fintech companies. We're more so looking to partner with them so that we are the first place that people go to when they wake up in the morning. Right now, I would imagine that people wake up and they turn on Facebook or Instagram. In the future, they will wake up and turn on Credit Rich. They will be able to see all of their money from all different sources in one spot. And we're really excited about that. And then we also have the payments feature as well, where we're really excited to be partnered with Visa to deliver our debit and our credit cards. So not only do we enable people to round up their spare change to help them pay their bills intelligently, we then store that in a credit-rich savings account, which they can then spend on their credit-rich Visa debit card or credit card, and also receive Visa rewards at the same time. We have a couple other features that I'm not going to quite announce yet, but we are the only Black company to have that feature. And we are really excited about bringing a revolution of a user experience to the fintech industry through our Credit Rich app.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amber, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I will just quickly. The question I think was about user experience. And when I think of that, I think of product design and, not necessarily like how big the buttons are, but what they're leading you to. And so, again, just when you're trying to build, a decolonized financial product, a place where Native folks can connect and relate and belong in the financial system, we did a lot of research and asked about, kind of questioning a lot of assumptions about the typical bundle, right? Something that we found over and over was our customers were saying, I have the checking and savings bundle, right? And I try to save, I do a good job of that. But the problem is I always end up having to dip into it. And if I dip into it too often, I'm going to get charged fees. And so what happens is I just get discouraged and I never save in the first place because I know I'm going to have to pull it back out, right? Over and over, we heard this. So we use that information to develop Stash Cash, which we just launched last week. So this will come out kind of the next quarter, right? But this is going to be our next, probably big rollout. And it's designed so that people can create those savings jars, name it what they want, and with a really fun interface that's not scary. It's like little bubbles where you can save $5 here, $10 there, right? And we're not going to penalize you if you need to move that back into your main checking account. We are going to reward you and give you like cool whale badges when you save a high dollar amount and things like that, but we're not going to make you feel bad about it. And I think that, making finance approachable and not dread inducing is such a tall order that all of us are having to rise to. And so good UX is really the only way that you can do that.
No, this is really great. Each of you, I feel like it's like leveraging that phone, the smartphone, the mobile phone is one way, and really making that a part of the overall experience, a one-stop shop approach with the Credit Rich, and then you like coming up with the rewards and not making people feel guilty about things that they have to do to make ends meet. And I think that is really critical overall, and using user experience to leverage that and enable access. So thank you for that. My next question is about what are your biggest challenges that you have faced in developing products and services that address the needs of your communities and businesses? Like, how have these partnerships helped you address these challenges? And so I want to start with Amber, if you can go ahead and answer this question. Like, what are the biggest challenges that you face in developing your products and services?
I was going to say, I feel like there's a few different questions there, and I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to answer. But, I would say the biggest challenge of building our products is access to funding. And obviously, like, duh, right? You need that to build a big banking product with major financial partners, right? But to go like a little deeper on that, like the reason that I say that is because we really need a VC ecosystem that has the capability of trying to step into someone else's shoes. Being an underserved founder, building for an underserved sector, so many of my battles in accessing funding were, getting on calls with big institutional VC. I feel like I'm their diversity call of the week to check a box. And the conversation that's supposed to be about raising is really about like me giving them Indian 101. And it's just so painful, and definitely, 1,000 little cuts when you're going through that fundraising process. So in terms of like the biggest challenge to building products, it's just, banking products are expensive, and being in this industry is expensive, and building for underserved people makes it that much harder. And so I would say that's a big deal. But, we also do leverage great community organizations to work on in terms of the like ideas of the products that we are building and things like that. So we've been really love working with folks down at the Navajo Nation at Change Labs, a small business incubator, to put together like prototyping sessions and talks and things with them. I've done some work for ACES and another STEM camp that's coming up where, you're talking with young Native people who are the future in science and technology and math, and they have thoughts about finance and fintech in particular, because that's what they were raised on, right? And so for us, it's definitely, a big part of our plan and our strategy for figuring out what our people need is just being embedded in the community constantly, going to powwows, going to cultural meetings, being with the youth, all of those things that you need to get the lay of the land and build something that's actually useful.
Thank you, Amber. Angel, do you have an answer to this question as well?
Absolutely, Dr. D. Mine is Visa. I often say that they respect my genius, but not my intelligence. And for a long time, it baffled me how people in these companies would want my product and my research studies and all these amazing things that I put out. But then when I tell them how to do it, similar to Amber's point, understanding the nuances within the community, understanding that I am the author of the African American Financial Experience Study and so many other ways that I've sort of proved my grit, to dismiss how it needs to be rolled out. It continues to baffle me. And I think that is one of the core reasons that our partnership with Visa has been so successful, because even, you have a vast amount of experience, but even you listen to what I say. So it's like everybody is a student. And I think when companies come together with that sort of student persona, as opposed to thinking that they are going to just sort of take the genius and place it in an adopted factor in a way that they would like to place it in a family, as opposed to properly assimilating to the culture, then we end up with all of these promises of billions supposed to be poured into the diversity in Black communities that never actually come to fruition. And I think it's to the point, again, with Amber, where I've even stopped meeting with certain companies because I'm tired of being the box checker. I'm tired of being your diversity person that's going to explain to you if you're actually not going to do it. I think another thing that has been difficult on the same side of the shared coin that Amber talked about with the VC ecosystem, which is also the partnership ecosystem. Oftentimes when it comes to the Black community, and I would imagine that this is happening in the Native American community as well, we get sent to the foundation or the charity department. It's suddenly not an enterprise or actual partnership or actual pilot. It is, tell me an event that you have coming up that we can help sponsor. It's like, what? That's what I'm here for. Yeah. So I'm just really grateful for the relationship that we have with Visa. I think that we are truly going to be able to change the world together, because we have come together with opening ears and eyes and arms to hold each other's hand as we go out and actually collaborate into the community. So I am genuinely excited about the future of the Black community working with Visa.
Thank you, Angel. Alpesh, how about you?
Oh, I've got a long list. I've got a long list. Where do we start? So I'm an old school entrepreneur. I believe in buying for one and selling for three, as opposed to maybe Silicon Valley entrepreneurs who buy for three and sell for one, and hopefully someone in between makes up the difference. I've always believed that, you got to have your own skin in the game. And fortunately for us, we've been able to put our own money into Zambezi, obviously from a previous exit, because I've never really believed in a VC gonna fund me, right? 1% of VC money goes to people of color. It's a fact. So why would I beat my head around trying to raise money all the time? Let me focus on the product. Let me focus on the consumer. Let me get the product out there. And that's really what myself and my team have been doing over the last 2 years. And Visa, just an amazing partnership we have with Visa that actually acknowledged that what we had built. And we were the first in America in June 2021 to launch Tap to Phone with Visa It was a program called She First with female Black-owned businesses in Washington, D.C. Visa gave us that opportunity, to showcase what we built, and that was a fantastic kind of intro into the whole space. And since then, we didn't even launch since then, because now I come to the second part, which was the challenges we faced coming out with this product in the US. And I speak with a lot of respect here, but the US merchant acquiring system is broken, right? You are asking someone who's selling $20 hamburgers to fill out a 15-page merchant application form. It's just not going to work. People are very, very busy doing what they're doing. They don't have time to fill out all these documents, right? So it kind of put out a lot of the people that we're addressing in the communities. It kind of like marginalized them from trying to become their own merchants. So we had to make that whole journey much more easier. So the last 2 years have been extremely challenging, and Kimberly from Visa is valid evidence here of the challenges we faced of just getting this thing going. But now we believe we've got the user experience right. You can now apply on the app itself and become a merchant within 5 minutes. And this is how we're going to go and target 80 to 90 million Americans today who need to accept a payment in person instantly with their smartphones. And that is all because of the partners we've developed along the way. I'm really keen to speak with Angel and Amber, hopefully after this webinar, because I believe that there's a massive things that we can do together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your challenges. I think as the audience hears, it's really, it's hard. You're coming from a place of trying to uplift and address the needs of groups that have been disempowered and are traditionally excluded. And you're actually feeling oppressed and trying to get the money to go to support, in a sense. It's a very vicious cycle, but that's the reality as I listen to each of you all. And I hope there's ways that we really take a step back and think about that. We're not here to do the education 101, which I hear from Angel and Amber. You're providing the education about your culture. You're not, and thinking about partnerships with each of these fintechs, taking it a step further. It's not about taking us to the foundation part of the organization or charity. You're really trying to create a strong financial future for all of the communities and businesses that you're serving. And so thank you for sharing that. Angel, I'm going to put this question next to you because it's about having good credit. You talk about credit. We'll start with you. And so having good credit is critical to financial health. Let's get beyond the discussion of financial inclusion, but financial health in the United States, right? Can you please speak to how your products and services are helping communities of color and businesses to build good credit? And I'll start with you.
Absolutely. Well, this is my favorite subject. So, I think a lot of people miss that 35% of your credit score is your payment history, simply paying your bills on time. And 15% of your credit score is your credit history. So 50% of your credit score can be improved / accomplished by simply paying your bills on time. I think that oftentimes people don't realize how difficult it is for people to pay their bills on time. I myself did not understand that you had to pay your bills on time. I thought that if you got them in during the month, it was okay. If you slid it in through the first 5 days, then you were doing well. Oh my gosh, you were really doing amazing if you paid it on the first, give you a badge. And the truth of the matter is you should actually pay your bills before the due date. So that when the credit score checking comes around, if you will, the payment is already there so that it can impact your credit score even higher. So at Credit Rich, we have built a slew of tools that sort of operate on an algorithm that we call credit intelligence that really allows people to be able to forecast what their credit score might look like in the future based on their current behavior, similar to investment management. We've also done cool things like created pie charts in different colors to allow people to see what they're currently spending so that they can get an idea of how to be able to tone down that spending and put it to better use. Additionally, we think that it's important for people to understand how to be able to share their credit and be able to share their wealth. So we have different features that allow people to be able to exchange money between each other, as well as to be able to tag on to different products that might be able to help them benefit in the future. We have an entire financial education section. We have the world's largest collection of financial education videos, as well as 36 online courses. So credit essentially is a way for you to be able to become rich, no matter how much money you are making. If you are managing your credit properly, you are able to increase that credit capacity. And that's why we named the company Credit Rich, because we don't want people to just sit on a 700 credit score and have like a $10,000 capacity. We want to help them grow that to like a $500,000, $500,000, $1 million capacity, where they can then go and purchase real estate or take that money and put it in a business, then, get a HELOC loan, take that cash and invest it in something else. There's many, many ways to be able to leverage your credit for you to actually be able to achieve wealth and financial health. And we're really excited to unlock those possibilities, a small change at a time.
Thank you. Amber, do you have anything to add about your product and anything that's going on with building credit?
Credit is definitely a big issue for the Native population. We're more likely to be credit invisible than other American, again, invisibility, right? It's not that we have bad credit, it's that we have no credit. We're just opting out of the system. And this ties into a comment or a question that popped up in the Q&A too about trust and how do you build trust in these communities that are very distrustful of the system. And so, this is all kind of part and parcel for us. Native folks have a healthy distrust of the financial system, understandably, right? And that has to do with our choice to optimize for cash and our choice to stay out of, credit and the whole game. And so for us, we really have to create products that nudge people to the behaviors that we think will help them participate more fully in the modern economy in a way that is not preachy and telling them what they need to do. We won't get far at all with that with our people. And this also ties into the Pat Patterson question that he asked about financial education and curriculum and what role that plays. I think, the best thing that you can do, it is amazing to have content. And I definitely, Angel, we need to get together because I probably need some of your content. But at the end of the day, if a lot of people don't have a drive to sit down and watch, a 10-minute video about finance. Cause that's just, why would you want to, it's just not super fun. Right. And so creating products that get to the behaviors that you're trying to incentivize, I think is a great way to build trust, kind of take advantage of this education concept in a way that doesn't feel like you're telling people that they don't know anything, right? If we want more people to save, let's figure out what the problem is and make it easier for them to save, right? If we want more people to get credit, let's provide them with a safe product that's not going to allow them to go into debt and see these same cycles that they've watched other people go through, be visited upon them, which that is something that we're working on, in addition to Stash Cash rolling out, we'll be launching a credit builder product in the future, because that's one of our biggest issues. And then the last thing I'll say is that credit is actually another thing that creates barriers for our people in the financial system, not just because of credit itself, but because of a downstream effect of that, which is that a lot of the systems that modern financial institutions use to look for fraud, money laundering, these things, the way that they do that is by bumping your profile, your customer profile, and pinging it out against all these bureaus and databases that they're buying to figure out who you are. The problem is, if you're credit invisible and you don't have anything for them to ping against to confirm that they are comfortable with who you are, that will actually bounce back a no match and say, oh, we can't verify this person because they don't have a credit profile. So we're just not going to let them in the system at all because we can't verify them. Right. So so many people are being left out of even basic banking products because of their lack of credit. So I applaud the work that Angel's doing to help so many people build theirs.
Awesome. Thank you. And that kind of actually leads into my next question, and almost similar to, I think, a question that I may have seen in the chat, but it's how are each of your fintechs leveraging AI and non-traditional data. So like right now, credit is very focused on traditional data. So how are you using non-traditional data to, one, personalize so you can improve the overall user experience, as well as increase access to financial products and services for your communities? Who would like to start with this? I saw Angel, I saw you like smile, but Alpesh, would you like to start or who?
Yeah, I mean, we're not AI focused, but it's obviously a buzzword as well, and AI is going to change a lot of lives over the next 5 years. Last year, everyone was talking about crypto. Now it's AI. So it's definitely going to change people's experiences with even their smartphones. So what we have here, I showed you the mobile billboard. It's AI driven. So imagine a merchant; they can start seeing all the different offers on their screen based on their location, based on their habits. And that can then lead to some kind of data collection on the back end, which can be able to, for us to serve them even better. So just to give you an example, if how, for example, with Angel, right? So imagine a merchant is taking all these payments every day, and then somehow that data is then fed into their credit score, and then they can team up with a lending company, not a predatory lending, a lender with good rates, and immediately offer that merchant a pop-up on that screen I showed you saying, oh, you qualify for a $500 loan. Yes or no, accept, click. And then that money goes straight into the debit card issued by Angel's company. So you're keeping the money within the ecosystem, but you're doing everything off the phone screen, and it's all AI based because you're doing it based on their habits and their history.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Angel, did you want to add anything here?
I will be happy to tell you, Alpesh, that's exactly what we're doing. Yes, Alpesh. So we are really excited because we believe that when we launch, we are going to have the greatest purview into people's financial sphere that's ever been created. That it doesn't even exist on the market right now. So we are taking in their data from their mobile banking directly. So we get to have all of that information about their day-to-day purchases. We are directly partnered with the credit bureau. So we have all of their credit information as well. And we have built a very arduous and complex system to also be able to view their online payments, as well as them to be able to add their online payments. We're able to, let me not get into all the details, but we can do it. We can, yeah, let me not give away the whole back end. But our whole system is built off of AI. I was just talking to my husband yesterday that I am so happy that I made this bet on AI years ago. When people were talking about all these different functions, and I had a very strong feeling about AI. And I made a bet on it, and we built our whole company around it. One of the things I will mention, similar to what you described, Alpesh, we also have a partnership with two companies that I'll share. One is called Pinwheel. They're partnered with 80% of employers. So we're able to have people directly attach their paycheck into our app. So we pretty much would be able to help them manage all of their money that's coming in directly into our app, which then would get fed to our algorithm and be output onto our debit cards. And then as they are increasing their credit score, we have all of this information. And we also have a partnership with a company called Mortgage Rate USA, which is one of the top online E-rate distributors. And we've done a unique partnership with them where, similar to the veteran community, we're attempting to reverse engineer redlining, where we have developed a way for banks to identify that they would like to give a special rate to Black people that are looking for a loan, sort of reversing the way that it's been done in the past. So we are able to do all of that through our app and one system that's powered by AI. So we're really excited.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I think AI definitely has, it's to Alpesh's term, it's the buzzword. It definitely has room here. Of course, we will need to ensure we are looking at it from a biased perspective, have to put my inclusive design piece on and really make sure that the data that is in, good data is going in so we can have good outcomes coming out. of it. I think the non-traditional data is really helpful as well. Looking beyond what we traditionally look at is going to be really helpful in building credit and things of that nature and personalizing the product. You know, most fintechs in the payment space build their income on interchange from debit or credit cards. How is your fintech using a new revenue model that helps address the needs of your community and businesses? And I ask this because what we find is that some of these business models that we have from the traditional large financial institution just doesn't work when working with our communities of color and small businesses. We'll start with you, Amber. Could you talk to me about a new revenue model approach that you took in building out Totem Technologies?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. D. Prior to founding Totem, my job was working with a lot of bankers, community bankers in particular, bank CEOs, helping them understand fintech and technology. And working around those guys, you learn very quickly that I like to say interchange is subject to change, and therefore is not something that you want to build a business on entirely, at least. You know, it's a great driver. It's a great way to get money flowing through your organization. But at the end of the day, it is, you know, it's pretty tough to make that case. And so when I was conceptualizing Totem, I had the benefit of some of that hindsight coming a little bit later in the sort of neobank market than the big boom that happened when they really started to proliferate. And so what I did was really look at, you know, ways that we could create deeper relationships with our community while at the same time expanding our revenue opportunities. And that for us really came in the form of partnering with tribes. So, you know, tribes are, in case, just to give you a little bit of Indian 101, so there are 574 federally recognized tribes in the US, and they all operate as independent sovereign nations. They are governments, and they are, you know, dispersing benefits and owning enterprises that employ Native people, and all of these things. And this was where, you know, things kind of collided for me, because my origin story as a founder, the reason why the seed for Totem was planted, and I got the idea in the first place, was because I was actually having trouble accessing a down payment program that my tribe offered. And through that, I interacted with my bank, who refused to help me use that program. And no one even mentioned Section 184 mortgages at any point in the line. And so, you know, sorry, I just got all like tongue tied, but so benefits for me, accessing tribal benefits, which is this incredible safety net, was something that was always linked in my mind with my experience in financial services. And so I thought, well, why don't we link those in a business sense as well? And so, you know, our model is really that we have built the direct to consumer banking accounts in our partnership with First Priority Bank. We're a banking as a service model. And those kicked off last week. So anyone can open an account with us, whether you're a tribal citizen or not. And that sort of kicks that flywheel going of like having some interchange, proving our value in the community, proving that the product is really by and for natives. At the same time, we're building relationships with tribes through co-marketing partnerships today, but we're partnering with them also to build the next phase of our technology, which is really around payments. So these tribal nations, as I mentioned, are dispersing millions of dollars in benefits to their members each year. They're trying to disperse those funds to the largest unbanked group in the country. And today they're doing that with paper checks and prepaid cards. And so we're looking at the tribe and saying, listen, partner with us. We provide the account so that we know your users have a good FDIC insured, solid banking product that's built for them. And let's help you move these deposits into a real account instead of trying to issue these paper checks that are costing you so much time, are prone to fraud, or using, you know, a net spend or something like that, where the breakage and leakage is incredible and you're having your people pay $1 just to call customer service, right? So it's all about using the product that we've built in a way that benefits our tribal partners, encourages them to keep using us for those payments, which then keeps more money flowing through the accounts because those are going to tribal consumers that are then using those funds. and here's the kicker and the best part, Dee, the flywheel keeps going because every time one of our users that is a member of a partner tribe swipes their totem card, we're sharing a piece of our interchange revenue back with the tribe, right? So they're now more incentivized to use us for more payments, to get more money flowing, right? And so money's actually staying in the native community longer.
Yeah, I like that. I really definitely like that. Does anyone else want to answer before I go on to the next question? Anything to add?
I mean, from our perspective, and I fully agree, just relying on one income source, i.e. interchange, is very risky for fintechs. A lot of fintechs are actually folding now because of the, funding has dried up and everything. So you've got to be having a multiple income stream kind of mentality. For us, we have interchange. Obviously, it's a part of our revenues, but the phone itself, we manufacture our own phone, so we sell that. So there's some margin to be made on the actual phone if you decide to buy the phone. And for us, I think the biggest play here is partnerships and white labeling and licensing. So when you do tap and pay with us, you'll have to pay a minimum monthly fee as a merchant. And on top of that, we make the interchange. But let's say, for example, we partner with a community bank, or we partner with a major church, right? We can white label our offering for the church, and they can use our app to start collecting donations, right? And they just pay as a license fee. So we're not gonna be able. I'm just gonna be very honest here. It's gonna be very difficult for me to go and get 500 million users in the next 3 years. All right, it's going to be very difficult. The only way to grow this is through partnerships and what I call VC, not venture capital, but venture community.
I love it. I love that venture community. Yes, I love that. That is great. And it kind of leads me into my question. As fintechs and neobanks, you're often looked at or competing with the large enterprises that have much more resources at their disposal for marketing, research, business development. How can the large enterprises level the playing field? How can they partner with you as a fintech? Alpesh, you've already started to answer that question. If you want to go on?
I'm very passionate about that subject. Look, we have to be very honest with ourselves. There's what we call vested interests, okay? Because this is coming to money, right? You've got some of the biggest banks in the world, and in America, people still issuing checks, right? It takes 1 week for the check to clear, but that check is already cleared in 2 seconds. So somebody's holding the money, playing with the money, getting the interest. It's kind of broken, and so you would see like Revolut, Monzo, they've all come to the US and they've left, right? Because it's a very difficult space. You've got these big bureaucratic banks who want to control everything. So there's no way we're going to be able to fight them. We have to work with them, right? Yeah. And what I've noticed is that even though the banks are very good at what they do, they're very powerful, they've got tons of clever people, they do have little silos you can kind of fit yourself in, right? And help them to get some of their products quicker to the market with your app, right? So I think it is about partnership. It's about knowing the power that they have, but I think it's all about working with them. You just can't challenge them.
Yeah, thank you. Angel or Amber, would you like to respond?
For us, we understand that banks are currently denying about 98% of loans. And on average, they spend about $200 to $300 to be able to acquire a customer. So we took this into consideration when it came to our revenue model to go after companies like JP Morgan Chase, who have 51 million account holders and need better opportunities to be able to have people come to the door at a much lower cost. So our product is pretty straightforward, where it is $9.99 a month, $100 a year. And if it is going through the B2B model, we only charge $1 a month or $12 a year. And the company like JP Morgan Chase would pay that. So instead of paying $300 for a customer to walk through the door, they've now paid us $12 and helped them improve their credit score and got them closer to actually issuing a loan, which on average is about $232,000 for a first-time home buyer. So right now there's about 76 million millennials between the ages of 18 and 34 that are looking to buy their first home. You times that by 232,000, that's $17 trillion in loan potential. So we do not see ourselves as a competitor with these large enterprises and banks. We see ourselves as a supplement to be able to help them be able to execute their loans faster.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amber?
Yeah, we also love banks because our whole model relies on us partnering with banks. So we have a great partner bank that I mentioned, First Priority, that holds all of our deposits, based here in Oklahoma. It's awesome. I get to like go down and have lunch with them on a regular basis. And so that's how the model works. But the agreement with them is not exclusive. And so we have spoken to other banks about partnerships where we might act as the sort of digital tip of the spear, if you will, to help them enter into markets that they want to serve, but they just have no entry point into because they're not a part of that community, right? So, we've been talking to a bank up in the Pacific Northwest that spent a ton of money and time getting bank on accounts up and running, and then realized we don't know how to market these to the, the market that they're intended for, low and moderate income individuals that we're trying to pull into the system for the first time. So we don't have those relationships, right? So we've definitely been in discussions about how we can assist and partner on those things and add on new bank partners as it makes sense for us strategically. So.
Yeah, I know we're like about 5 minutes, and I want to get to a couple of the questions that have been directed. One that I see that just was put in the chat that I think is really interesting to hear from each of you. And it is about how are you all thinking about expansion beyond your core offerings? So would you like to speak? Let's start with you, Amber, since you if you'd like to speak to that.
Yeah, I'm already off mute, right? So we, if you look at the totem logo, it looks like kind of a stack of rocks or something like that. And we picked that one partially because it tells the story of how we're building totem, right? When you're serving an unbanked population, the largest one in the country, when you look at racial and ethnic groups, according to the 2019 FDIC study, you have to start at the very basics, right? You have to start at just getting them a debit card in their hand, right? But once you do that and you start to build that trust, you can then move up to these other products. So I mentioned that a credit builder is kind of the next step on that journey, giving people access to a safe product that's going to make them lendable at some point in the future. And then the sort of, next phase after that, in sort of big roadmap chunks, at least, is really focused on providing mortgages, which is home ownership is a major issue for Native communities. It's something that we value very highly and strive for. And we have amazing products like the HUD's guaranteed Section 184 loans that not a lot of banks specialize in, or if you called and asked about it, they would have no clue what you were talking about. And so we can use our nationwide platform to bring attention to really good financial products like that have lower down payment, lower purchase mortgage insurance, and things like that are beneficial to our folks. So tons of growth on the horizon, both with tribes and from a consumer standpoint.
Awesome. And Angel, I think particularly for this particular question is like, are you thinking about exploring into providing access for credit for SMBs and things of that nature? So are you expanding there?
100%. It's funny, the word I was writing over here was access. And so we've recently, I'll start there. Yes, we're definitely thinking about being able to, how can we help small businesses, Black businesses, women-owned businesses, all of these different things that require credit, especially oftentimes people think about business credit, but really in order to build your business credit, you still need personal credit. So both of those really go hand in hand with being able to help people accelerate in that way. And not just these communities in America. We're very proud to technically have a North American relationship. So we're not only focused on North America, but we eventually plan on expanding to Latin America and the Caribbean. We've already started making some headways in the Caribbean. I get phone calls almost weekly from different presidential African offices. Africa is waiting for us. So we are really excited to be able to expand there as well. We sort of see ourselves as being able to help prevent a global recession in these other countries, if you will, because right now, for the first time, Africa and some of the Caribbean is experiencing credit for the first time, much like when America got it before. And so now they are starting to have to deal with debt, paying their bills, all of these different functions that they did not have to do before. So we want to be there. We want to be on the ground floor of that movement and definitely expand in that way. But Dee, I definitely have to also state that we were recently called one of the best fintechs for smart solve functionality. And I was like, oh, I like that. So we really want to stake our pole in the ground around that and really expand from a breadth and depth sort of way.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're tackling the UX as well as we have the best functionality out there.
Yeah, thank you. And Alpesh, do you have an answer on what you're looking to explore?
Yeah, I mean, right now we've launched Tap and Pay in the US. Our platform allows us to go into Canada. Coming from Africa and being an African, we've just done an integration in South Africa with Standard Bank, with launching Tap to Phone there. That's going to be really, really exciting as well. We're looking at Nigeria as well. Like Amber said, I mean, I believe Africa is really where the massive, massive potential is. For fintech. Angel, you're going to do amazing there because definitely credit is much needed. Africa is a prepaid market, but it's slowly shifting over to contract on many, many things. In terms of our expansion in the US, we're starting with payment acceptance, but my next thing automatically would be remittance. We're looking at a lot of the diaspora that lives in America that are, selling food, having food trucks, cleaning cars, taxi drivers, gig economy workers, Nigerians, Ethiopians, Ghanaians. They could take payment on their phone and immediately from that, whatever they earn that day, they press a button and they send $100 to their mom or their auntie or their uncle in Nigeria, wherever, all done very seamlessly. I think the natural progression for us after acceptance is remittance.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know we're at time. And so I just wanted to, I guess, we have some upcoming. I want to thank first the panelists for your time. And, I know you all are going to have discussions on how you're going to be able to work together. And I think that's the ultimate message as well, how to leverage and work together. As in that last response of working with large as well as working with other fintechs. So upcoming events to be on the lookout and register for. Emerge Insights 2020, Groundbreaking Data Actionable Solutions. Join us in Philadelphia. You can actually meet me in person. I'll be there September 26th to 27th. So this is Emerge Insights. And then we have Emerge Financial Health 2020, 20 years of financial health and beyond. Join us in Chicago, June 5th to the 7th of 2024. Thank you again for your time. We did see some of the questions and we'll try to answer them in some form or fashion. Sorry that we weren't able to get to all the questions that were in the chat. Please reach out to any of the contacts here, including myself, and we look forward to partnering with you. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.